should you pay off your mortgage, right? It's a really big question because we all want that personal freedom of knowing that something's paid off, but could you use the money in a better place? And that's what we're gonna get into right now. So paying off your mortgage, it helps you save money in the long run, but it isn't for everyone. For some people, just having the mortgage hanging over your head is so much pressure that you just want to have no debt. And let's face it, you don't want to have a lot of debt anyway, so ideally you wouldn't owe anybody any money ever. So before you pay off your mortgage or before you decide that that's the right idea for you, what you really need to decide is what are the pros and what are the cons of paying off my mortgage? And then you can make the decision that's best for you, because paying off your mortgage is a personal decision, but we're gonna lay it off and then I'm gonna give my personal suggestion at the end of this video. So make sure you stay all the way to the very end. So what's the point of paying off your mortgage early? The point is that if you look at an amortization schedule, they stretch out a $300,000 purchase for 30 years at a 3.5 interest rate, at a 5% interest rate, whatever, they stretch that out. And so if you pay every payment for 30 years, you're paying a ton of interest. Everybody's selling you on the monthly payments, on the monthly plans, and that's how you bleed yourself over a long period of time. Like, you're gonna have all this debt going off you, and you need to understand what good debt is, what bad debt is, and bad debt is the money that's coming out your pocket every month. Good debt is the debt that you buy stuff with that puts money in your pocket every month. Paying that extra $300, you might be able to do better paying that off, or better with that money per month doing something else, doing a side hustle, spending money on postcards to learn how to wholesale properties, right? Or you might be able to spend $300 in fuel driving for dollars. Or you could invest in your education, right? You could put that money to work other places, but sometimes it's best served, and sometimes you could put a couple $100 to save a lot of money. It's what you do with that money that really matters. So if you can't make money, if you're not disciplined, you really need to try to focus on not having much debt if you're not disciplined with debt. But if you're disciplined, or you can become disciplined because it's probably a taught and learned behavior and you can get it. I'm not disciplined at a lot of things, but I'm disciplined as a real estate investor. You got to create the discipline in your life to add the extra $100 on your mortgage payment if you do want to pay it down, if you don't have the discipline to go and invest in real estate, because yes, not having that would be good for you. Personally, the other thing you want to look at is, why not get a 15-year mortgage? Can you make do with a 15-year mortgage, right? If you want to pay off your loan, why don't you start with shopping for a 15-year mortgage and see if you're comfortable with that payment? Then you know that you're going to pay it off in 15 years, and 15 years is a short runway and 30 years is a long runway. So here's a question to ask yourself. Do you think having a low interest rate or a super low interest rate, like refinancing every few years, is a good move? Comment below if you think that is the way to do it. Pull your cash out, use that for investing. Let me know if you think that's a good move. I'll tell you what I think right now. I think that that's a terrible move, because what happens is you eat away your equity and you don't build anything. I think the best plan is do something like this, where you add an extra amount of money to your principal every month, be super disciplined with, pay it off early, because they front load the interest and you're going to be paying interest for the longest period of time. I think that if you shop with a 15-year mortgage payment in mind, then you're going to bring your budget down, right? And you're going to shop with a house that you're going to be able to pay off in 15 years. Basically, what I'm trying to get to is, if you keep refinancing all the time and you're not disciplined by paying it off early, and you keep sucking the equity out when the guy tells you can lower your payment by $100, all you're doing is stretching out your payment. You're really not saving any money. So if you're one of those serial refires, stop doing it. You're losing money every few years. I know people who are always bragging about, hey, I got a 3% interest rate. Hey, I got a 2% interest rate. Hey, I got a 4% interest rate. If you get a 4% interest rate and you refinance down to a 3% interest rate, you've paid 5 years of payment off and you just stretched out another 5 years. Remember, that interest is front loaded. So you just keep paying interest. It's like having a credit card and making the minimum payment every time and then refinancing and maxing it out again. It's never gonna go away. You're never gonna build equity and you'll be stuck in the rat race forever. So it's really, really a silly move. Don't do it. Don't put your focus on paying off your mortgage early. What you need to put your focus in is buying good debt and buying a cash flowing property. Let's say, for example, that you're completely okay with your $1,400 a month payment and you're gonna add an extra $100, an extra $150. I don't care if it's an extra 50 bucks. Add extra something, get yourself going and pay down some principal per month, because only the suckers pay all the interest, and you don't want to be a sucker. You want to be someone who's actually making a dent on that and then building momentum so you can pay your debt down early. So then what you do is you become super disciplined and you start looking for cash flowing properties that you can take good debt on. My suggestion is, if you're a brand new investor, that you try to buy properties for cash. Let's say you have 401k and you've got $50,000 cash. Take that money out, forget about the penalties, the interest, the everything like that. That is golden handcuffs for you that your employer's putting on you. Take that, buy a house for cash. We buy them all the time in Kansas City, Mississippi, Houston, Texas. They're all over the country. Buy one for cash, put a renter in there. Now you got an $800 a month payment that's coming in every month and you have no payment on it. Right. Now guess how much money you can put towards paying down your mortgage, right? Or if you really wanted to, you could take cash out of that property once you put a tenant in there, right? Or what you could do is you could move into your first fourplex as your first rental property and qualify for an FHA mortgage, and then you could have a mortgage that you're basically living in as your first investment property, and all the tenants are paying your mortgage and then some, and you're adding all the additional principal on that one, or you're putting it in your pocket to buy another investment property, right? It's all about good use of your money. You know, I talk to people all the time and they're like, man, I'm so glad I've got my house paid off. What should I do? What should I do? And I'm like, why are you so proud of paying off your house if you're still trying to invest, right? Don't pay off your house. And these are simple lessons that we learn over time. Good debt and bad debt. Natural for me to be uncomfortable with debt because I invested with bad debt where I didn't cash flow. So I wanted to own things with no mortgages, right? But as I grow as an investor, I have to leverage my money in order to grow. That's how I've taken off in the flipping business, is because someone called me up. So I was flipping properties and said, we'll loan you money. Once I could leverage, now I can take the $150,000 for the property and only have to put 10% down, which is $15,000. Now how many properties can I control? So leveraging is really key, but leveraging on your primary residence is just silly if you're trying to become a real estate investor. So if you're just trying to retire and pay off your house, you are probably at the wrong channel. So you might have heard this term called house rich and cash poor, right? That means you've got a house that you own for cash, but you don't got no cash. And then if you're a senior citizen, what you can do is you can refinance and get a reverse mortgage and suck the equity back out that way. Well, you don't want to be house rich, right? You don't want to have any cash flow not coming in and have your house paid off and be poor as a pauper. You're better to have cash in the bank, other investments coming in. If you're thinking, man, I'm going to get started, I'm going to take all this money that I'm saving just from making the minimum payment because it's 1/3 or 1/4 or 1/5 of my income is what it really should be, and I'm going to invest that money in cryptocurrency, then that's a silly freaking move, and you should invest in real estate instead. Real estate is a guaranteed long-term play that if you're disciplined with, it's guaranteed that you get rich. If other people are paying your debt and your payment on that debt is less than their payment to you, you're making a profit. And guess what? At that same point in time, if you're adding a little bit of money to that principal, you're paying off that debt and you're making cash flow on debt that you're paying off or that somebody else is paying off. And then as you continue to grow as an investor, you have houses that you have no money on, and then you have houses that go up in value that you sell and you 1031 these things. So understand what good debt is and what bad debt is. Don't take that money and throw it in the stock market and gamble it. Don't put it in crypto. I would suggest if you're gonna save money, put it in a money market account, put it in a safe mutual fund, put it in something that is secure and safe. Don't put it in a stock that you think you got a hunch on, you could lose everything. The chances of you losing everything and anything that I suggested are almost minimum. It's possible, right? Anything is possible, but you know, it's a pretty safe instrument. Your savings accounts are worthless. Put it in something that has the potential to grow and yield you money, right? You definitely need to do that. How will you use the money if you don't pay off your mortgage early? Like, you take all the money that you had extra that you were going to use towards the principal, and you're like, you know what, I'm going to take that in my pocket. What are you going to do with it? Be realistic. What type of person are you? What are you going to do with that money? Will you actually use it to get ahead, or are you just tricking yourself? And like I said before, if you're the type of person that you always are broke, this might be a good step to add that extra payment on your mortgage if you can't keep money in the bank account, right? And I'm just calling it like I see it, or like it might be. You know, if the money just disappears, that's the one thing I like about investing in real estate. It's not a bad thing because money just does disappear. Let's have it go into a house, right? Add that extra money that might disappear into a house, right? That does pay it down early if you just don't have that discipline yet. What is the most valuable commodity that you can't get enough of? Time, right? And what do you want? You want peace of mind within that time. You want to have no stress, no worries. That's the dream, right? It's the dream that will never come true. But we do want peace of mind, right? And anything that we can do to give us peace of mind, including paying off our mortgage, is a good thing, right? And that's ideally, like I said, what everybody would like. But if you play it that safe and just pay off your one mortgage and don't do anything else besides that, you're gonna be house rich and cash poor. So you need to have alternative solutions. That could be one that will give you the peace of mind if you're gonna play it safe and money's not your motivator. And I get it. Buy a couple investment properties, you'll have more than enough money that you could ever want, okay? And definitely if you're getting up in there in age and you're facing like retirement, fixed income situations, which both of my parents are on, I know for my mother, paying off her mortgage is a big thing. And I think it's a good thing for her because her age is up there where she doesn't want to have a lot of bills, right? But if you're young, you're 20, you're 18, you're 25, you're 30, you're 35. Listen, I'm 43. Take on debt. My house is not paid off. It's not near paid off, right? I actually just refinanced my house right when COVID hit. I thought the market was going to crash, and I felt like the market was good enough then because prices were super high and nobody could predict what was going to happen next. And I predicted that it was going to go down. And you know what? I was wrong, but I'm sure glad that I took that money out when I did because I have a low payment, low debt, low interest rate, and I had paid it off for the last 8 years. And then I drawed equity against it. So I had 2 loans. I had tapped it out. There was no more money to take out. I still owed what I paid for it because I had taken a HELOC on it. So what I did is I pulled the rest of the money out of the house to go invest in real estate because my primary residence doesn't make me any money. In fact, right now in Las Vegas, I'm only here a few times, right? So my primary residence is just sitting here because I would Airbnb it, but it's kind of our home and we don't want to deal with that. And that goes right into another advantage of paying off your home is that you can get a HELOC, right? But the HELOC, they can shut down. And like once you're done with your HELOC, like I was, unless you're paying it down, it's still there and you gotta make a payment to the HELOC. But it is an option for you. But you're only gonna probably qualify for a HELOC if you have a job. So if you're getting up there where you're on a fixed income, you might not even qualify for a HELOC. So we've said it in the video before, but the pros of paying off your mortgage is that you're gonna save a ton of money on interest. You're gonna save a ton of money on interest. You're gonna save a ton of money in general over the long haul by paying your mortgage off early. Another big benefit is you're not gonna have any monthly obligation for that particular bill, right? You're not gonna have to think about it. It's paid off, you got your taxes, and that's it. You own the home outright, you got peace of mind, and that's pretty much it. So those are the benefits. Let's talk about the negatives. Well, we glanced over this a little bit, but you can definitely make way more money by investing in real estate than by paying off your mortgage early. That's the biggest benefit, right? And you can still pay your mortgage off early, but you just don't have to pay it all the way off right now, right? Make that determination based on where you're at, right? Are you 21 years old? Are you 25? Are you 35, 45, 55, 65? Are you getting into your 80s? You know what? Don't even worry about the mortgage anymore. And if you pay your mortgage off too early, right, some of these lenders have prepayment penalties, right? It's not very common anymore. You do have some lenders that if you pay it off within the first couple years, or if somebody really gave you a bad loan and you have a prepayment interest penalty, like you paid it off the first year, you might have a prepayment penalty, right? That's a big negative, right? It could be 5%, but it could be a lot of money. It's definitely going to be a percentage because the bank is going to be wanting to make sure they got their money. But obviously, if you paid it off at year 27, you're going to have to really read the fine print in there. Another negative about paying your mortgage off early, and this is not a big one, is you lose that tax deduction. And you know what? Your credit score is going to drop as well, right? Because that mortgage is a huge deal to the credit score. What do you think? What's your way of approaching this situation? Do you have a different formula? I know that I like paying my bills weekly. It's really a good way to get ahead. I would start with $50, see if you can go to 100, see if you go to 200, see whatever you're comfortable with. Get that freaking mortgage paid off slowly. Like my goal is usually 11 years. And that's whether I got a 15-year mortgage or a 30-year mortgage. Now, if it's a commercial loan, it's an entirely different situation. That's a different game. They actually have balloon payments, which you have to keep refinancing. So you've got to keep chasing the carrot. If you want to get started real estate investing, I truly mean this. I want to help you get there. That is my goal for you. It's changed my life. It could change yours too. Peace.